All right, so we're back 14 days later, and now we're going to put our eggs down the bottom of the incubator so they can hatch out in the next 3 days. And after we open this incubator up and put these eggs in the bottom, we won't open it back up till everything that's hatched out is going to hatch out, which, you know, they'll start hatching probably tomorrow or the next day. And then you can leave them in there for 2 or 3 days after the first one hatches out, and that way everything that hatches will hatch, and you won't shrink wrap no chicks, because if you open it too soon, that's a danger of doing that. So we'll try to leave it locked down to as long as we can to let everything hatch out that will. So we'll keep y'all updated on that, and we're gonna lay these eggs down. All right, so the wife's gonna add a few eggs here. While she does that, I'm gonna put some water in 2 of the slots, and probably this one and this one is one I'll use, and try to dry that humidity up some. All right, we'll add our water. Should be enough in that one. Alright, that ought to do it. We're gonna finish putting these eggs in. We'll be back to you. Alright, so we got all 90 of those eggs down, and as you can see, it's pretty full in there. So we'll get back with y'all when we start seeing some hatching. We'll try to video a little bit of that process so y'all can see how that goes. And stay tuned. All right, we're back on day 16. So these eggs have been laid down in the bottom of the incubator for 2 days now, and look what we got. Got some baby quail that's popped out of the eggs, and they're drying off in there. Looks like they're doing good. They just started hatching just a little while ago, and we was gone to the grocery store and come back, and at that point they were, I think, 3 of them out when we got back home. And then since then, which has been about an hour, there's been 3 more come out. So it being later at night, I'd say by in the morning it's hard telling how many will be in here. So I hope y'all can see them. A little bit of a glare here, but hopefully y'all can see somewhat what's going on in there. Let's see if we can get, there's one of them there. We got all kinds of different colors, looks like. Some of them will be brown and white, and some of them will be pretty close to solid brown. Some of them will be a gold color. Some of them will be solid white almost. So this yellow one right here, he will be pretty much solid white. Maybe just a little bit of brown on him, but mostly white, almost all white. So pretty interesting to see though. You can see the eggs there where they've busted out of them. Pretty interesting stuff. Now, it don't hardly ever get old to me. It just stays interesting. I like to watch them hatch, and it's pretty awesome to be a part of this right here. To me, to us it is. So now I put that red plug in to drive that humidity up the other day after we locked down the incubator, and it's kept it up pretty good. So we're up at 72. I was wanting to target about 70, so it's done good. So adding that water to those 2 trays in there and putting that red plug in did the trick. So it had been a while since I'd hatched out of this incubator, so I was worried about how it might do, if I could remember exactly how to do it right. So apparently I did something right, because we got some hatching going on. I hope our hatch rate's good. We'll just have to let it play out and see. Ain't no guarantees on that yet, but we know for sure we've got at least a few hatched, so that's a good sign. So we'll come back again later on, maybe tomorrow morning before we get back in here, but we'll show y'all how many we got then. Alright, we're back the next morning, and we've got a lot more quail that have hatched overnight. Looks like to me the best I can count, which it is hard to count these guys as much they're moving around, somewhere around 30 or 40 has hatched. So could be a little bit more than that, but I know there's at least 30 something in here. These dudes are lively as they can be. Now it's tempting at this point, especially for somebody that's new to this and real excited, to go ahead and open that incubator up, get out what's open. That way, we want to make sure they're out there and can eat and drink and things. But definitely do not want to do that, because any of the chicks that might still be in the egg that have what they call pipped, which means they took their beak and poked a hole in the egg but still ain't all the way out, can get shrink wrapped inside the egg and never will hatch. So they'll end up dying because the inside of the shell, there's like a sac in there, and it will kind of suck up around them and tighten up around them and make it to where they can't hatch if you open this incubator early. So probably what we'll do is wait till tomorrow. That's 2 days after the first one's hatched, and then we'll open it up, get all of them out that's hatched. That gives them enough time where they should be all hatched that are going to hatch. And if you're worried about them not having enough, food or water, not having any food or water at this point, that's not a concern, because when they hatch, they intake the yolk that's inside the egg, and that's their nutrients for the first few days. So they can survive at least 3 days off of that. So we'll open this up 2 days after they started hatching, and we know they'll be okay. So alright, we'll come back a little later on there and see how many we got. Alright guys, we're back, and it is now day 18. So what we're going to do is go ahead and open up the incubator and get the guys that is hatched out already over into the brooders, because we usually let them stay about 2 days after the first one hatched to make sure that everybody's hatched out that probably can. Now we will leave the eggs in a little longer that didn't hatch, just in case that there's a straggler or two. Sometimes there is, but most of the time there might be maybe 1 or 2 more that hatches, and that's about it. So at this point, being day 18, then most of them's already hatched out. So it's been 4 days since we put them into lockdown, and 2 days since the first one hatched. So we're gonna go ahead and open this thing up. All right, now you see all of them that hatched. There's a bunch of them all over the place in here, all different colors. I mean, it's unreal. Now there's some eggs that didn't hatch. What we're going to do probably is count the eggs that didn't hatch, and that way we can tell how many did hatch, because there's probably less counting to do that way. So anyway, yeah, they're a lively bunch, looks like. Man, those things are fast as lightning. So they'll be glad to get in the brooder and get some water and food, that's for sure. Now, it's a good idea if you're going to raise quail, if you have one of these from where you've ordered before, keep your boxes like this, because they can't get out of that, and you can kind of transport them back and forth when they're real little from place to place. That's a good idea to keep those. So anyway, we're going to get these guys moved into the brooder, and then we ought to be in pretty good shape. All right, so the wife counted 50. So what we're gonna do, she went ahead and counted them live, so instead of the eggs that didn't hatch. But what we're gonna do is, we've got 2 brooders here, so we're gonna put 25 in each one. That way, half and half, obviously. She's showing them where the water is there, make sure they know. And that's the most important thing. They'll figure the food out for sure. But you definitely want to make sure they get some water. So we got 2 of these guys. We'll go ahead and fill both of them up with 25 quail each. Listen to them there. And I'll tell you something else we do with this brooder. The only downfall of this brooder is all these ventilation holes is about too much for quail because they're so tiny. So to hold the heat in better, we take a bed sheet and drape over the top of these and let it hang down on the sides, and that covers up the where there ain't so much airflow that it don't hold enough heat in for them. So we'll do that after we get them all loaded in here. All right, so we got out all the quail that hatched, and this is what we got left. So the wife counted 50 live quail that hatched. So that means if we put in 90 eggs, we've got 40 eggs here. Now that is not as good of a hatch rate as we're used to. I'll tell you a couple reasons why that could be. One reason is because we had some younger quail that some of these eggs came from. So we had some younger males in with some younger females, and this was kind of their first hatch from their eggs. So that could be part of it. Maybe the rooster wasn't fertile enough. Maybe something going on like that. I'm not sure. But also on the other hand, I haven't used this particular incubator in probably about 3 years. I'm thinking maybe almost 4. And I'm pretty sure I did everything right with it. But one thing we did have happen while we were using it is we lost power one night for, I don't know exactly how long, because we woke up and it was off. So, and we had to get that straightened out once that come back on. So that's something you just can't really do much about. It just happens sometimes. It might have been off long enough to where it affected some of them. Obviously it didn't affect the whole hatch, because 50 is still a lot of quail, but when you put 90 eggs in, I usually expect a little more than that. Usually with our Brencia 56 fully automatic, usually we do better with it than that. It's usually, I think last quail hatch we did was over 90% hatch rate, so that's excellent. I mean, you can't get much better than that. Now the Brencia is a lot more expensive incubator than this. I think one of those, when I bought it, set you back $500 something. I believe now they're like $6 something. But this one is more around the $200 to $300 range, so about half price really. Even with the turner, buying the turner included in that, it's probably around $3 something. So, but either way, we'll leave these in here and see if they hatch anymore. They may not. I did add 2 more trays of water, just like I did earlier in the video, before we locked them down, and I put the plug back in, so that way humidity's high enough to where if these guys can hatch, then they will. We'll leave them for a couple more days and see what happens, but it's probably likely that none of them will hatch from this point. Now we have waited once before for 3 days after they started hatching to take the babies out, and we didn't have a good experience with that. We had some to get so weak where they'd been out of the egg so long in the incubator that they ended up passing away. So we don't want that. So we've figured out that 2 days is about the max we're willing to go to let them all hatch, and then we start pulling them out. So anyway, we hope somebody got some use out of this video. If y'all ain't never raised quail before, they're pretty nice to raise, fun to raise. Don't take long to hatch compared to other birds. Don't take long to grow to full growth. About 6 to 7 weeks, you got you a full-grown laying hen out of the hens, and about 6 to 7 weeks, you can have you a meat bird out of them if you want to butcher some and eat them. So it's hard to beat that, and they don't eat a whole lot either to get there. So just keep that in mind. Anybody got any questions or comments, just feel free to leave them below. We appreciate all the subscribers. We've gained several in the last few days. We're thankful for all y'all. And just stay tuned for more. We'll keep putting out different things. We still got those goose eggs in the incubator in the Brentzia. I'm not sure how that's going to go. We've never hatched those before, so this is a trial and error situation. But we'll be back on those here in a couple weeks. We'll have to lay them down, so we'll be putting a video up probably in about 2 to 3 weeks on those. So stay tuned for that. All right, we got all the quail in there. And as you can see, we had to do a little something special here. You have to do this for just maybe the first week or so. The quail are so small they can't reach up into the troughs. If you've got this particular brooder, you have to put something in there for them to eat off of. It can be anything, just as long as it's a flat surface that they can get onto and eat off of easily. You always want to use a good finely ground starter feed for them. That way they can eat it good because their mouth's so small. And on the waters, you got to have what's a specifically labeled quail water base. And you can get them at Tractor Supply or basically any farm store, I think. But if you use a regular chick base, they will get into it and they will drown or chill themselves to death. So definitely want to make sure that. Or you can, if you have, all you have is regular chicken bases, you can put marbles in it or rocks in it or whatever to make it more shallow to where they can't do that. But I prefer the actual quail bases because we've had good success with them. Anyway, I think that's about it for the video, and thank y'all for watching. We appreciate everybody. We've gained a lot of subscribers in the last few days, so we appreciate y'all for subscribing and watching our videos. And thank y'all. We'll see you next time, and God bless y'all.